Voila, we're live. We're live on YouTube again. Thank you, Lord. Alright. That was weird. Go ahead and pull them back in. Let's let them all join back in before we get started again. The website ain't working. Just one moment. Gotta reset it up. Yeah, we back. Appreciate y'all for being patient. Sorry about that. Give me just one moment. Okay, connection restored. If we do have any other problems during this stream, just be patient and wait for me to reset things. We should only have trouble with YouTube, because I know once if it does go down on YouTube, I know that it's going to go off my phone service on Facebook. That's why. That will continue to work on there. So if anything else, it will continue to work on there. Yeah, Zoom died. So I'm going to have to reset that. Give me about 2 minutes here, and then we can get started again. That should be enough time to get everybody back in, too. Okay. Adding Zoom back in. There we go. All right. All right, is everybody back in yet? Or is it just you, Lock Poppy? Because right now it's saying zero viewers, and it's just being weird. So it always does that after an internet reset. So let me know if you're back in the chat. Anybody that's in chat, let me know if you feel like chatting. Just trying to get a head count, you know. Locke says, I've been having internet problems too. I was wondering if it was just the cold also. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, man. I don't know. I did have internet issues earlier today, like middle of the afternoon. Yeah, was that about the same time you had internet issues too, Lock Poppy? Because I know it went down to what, like, 10, 20 degrees up in North Carolina, right? Yeah, that's weird. You wouldn't think it would affect the signals. That sends out the signals. I don't know. I'm not gonna act like I'm an expert on this stuff, but you know. But yeah. Okay, 6 to 8. Yeah, that's about the time I had them too. Oddly enough. Yeah. Weird. But yeah, welcome back on in. Appreciate you for being patient. Like I said, if we have issues again, just shift over to the Facebook page. Anyone that's on the YouTube channel should be able to find that pretty easily. It's a Facebook group page if you haven't been on there before. Just search up Keep Pounding in all caps in the group pages tab. But that one is guaranteed not to go down because of my cell service. Now, if my cell service and the internet goes down at the same time, then we're screwed. But I don't think that's ever going to happen. You're at least going to have one of the two open. So, and I stream on both. So, not at the same time. I use two different devices, so shouldn't be a problem from here on. Alright, you guys didn't miss anything. Trust me. You didn't. So we're going to get back into this. Back to my original point, which was, we need J.C. Horn to be covering St. Brown, and CJ should be covering DJ Chark. That's got to happen. Now, the rest of these guys, we could provide some safety help. You know, I'm not really worried about Josh Reynolds or Brock Wright. You know, Josh Reynolds could become a problem if you let him out of coverage. 6'3", 194. Yeah, he's mostly a slot receiver in a screenplay guy, but he can hurt you with yards after the catch. That's the interesting part of this offense is he's the extra dynamic that we have to worry about. 34 receptions, 427 yards, 12.56 average, 3 touchdowns. But they haven't really used him all that much in the last few weeks, as you could tell on your screen on YouTube here. They didn't use him against the Jets, the Bills, the Giants, the Bears, and the Packers game. Curiously, I don't know what's going on there. Maybe he was injured. So we're going to check that injury report. And no, he is not on it this week. So I'm wondering what's going on there. To where they're not using him. But he's been known to be used as a slot receiver and kind of a post receiver. Sideline receiver. So if you want to use someone to cover him, I would suggest probably maybe the free safety Woods would be helpful in that situation to kind of help out and just make sure he doesn't break containment on that side of the field where CJ is. Chin on the other side would be helpful. The issue with this is, with our coverage issues, is that we are basically taking away the ability to stop the deep ball by moving our safeties up into corner coverage. And that's why Chin is going to have to do double duty out there. It's not going to be fun for him. But I think he's prepared for it. But you cannot let Reynolds get out of containment, otherwise he's going to hurt you. That's why our linebackers have to be extra vigilant when it comes to screens and stuff like that. If that ball goes anywhere near Reynolds, you need to be on him so quickly. You need to be on him. Because if he gets out of containment, he's going to be in absolute terror. But if you contain him pretty well, then you don't have to worry about him. Now, Brock Wright, I'm not even that concerned about Brock Wright. He's only got like what 14 catches, 192 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's going to be used as your red zone guy, realistically. Although he does every once in a while get a big play. So you got to make sure you don't nickel and dime him to death. Otherwise, he will hurt you. And we've been known to do that in the fourth quarter, which is prime time for him to get a big play. You can't let him out. Not during the fourth. And as evidenced by the 4 catches against the Cowboys for 57 yards, as evidenced by the 2 catches against the Jaguars, and the 2 catches against the Giants, and the 1 catch against the Jets last week for a touchdown. So you can't let him out and get a big play on you. If you need a momentum shifter, he's not necessarily your guy. That is more Josh Reynolds' job. Josh Reynolds will get those big plays. Where St. Brown cannot if he's in coverage, in really tight coverage. Chark is possible, a huge possibility of doing that. And Jamal Williams will be a very big factor as well. 6 foot even, 224 from BYU, 217 carries, 839 yards, 3.87 yards per carry, 14 touchdowns. Now, as of the last 2 games, he's had a little bit of trouble with defenses that have good run game defense, such as the Jets and the Vikings. But when he's taking on teams like the Jags and the Bills and the Giants and the Bears, who have been known to have run defense issues as of lately, and a few of those teams are just garbage. And the Dolphins certainly have their problems. But what I'm seeing here is that the Cowboys had trouble with run defense at one point, because he got 5.3 average on him. So that's interesting to note as we go into this playoff race. Because if we do make the playoffs and we do somehow get past the 49ers, we're going to have to deal with the Cowboys at some point for the NFC Championship. Should that happen, we'll need that information to battle the Cowboys. Or in the first round. Most likely first round. Either way, we're going to deal with the Cowboys at some point in this playoff journey. That's assuming we get there. We have to still get there first. And that means going through the Lions and the Buccaneers. Realistically, if we take 2 losses, we're out. Which, we can beat the Buccaneers and Saints. That won't be an issue. This Lions game, we might take a loss. And I'll show you what that means if we do take that loss against the Lions in a little bit. But I'm just kind of showing you what their offense is so that you know kind of what we're up against. And these guys are no joke, man. They have really built a very, very strong offense. I'm very impressed with Detroit so far. And then you got offensive line. Oh, excuse me. Panay Sewell. Again, like I said, this dude is a 6'5", 335-pound beast on the offensive line. This is the guy I wanted us to draft. Um, he started games all year, and he's a Pro Bowler, as you might expect, year two. But the interesting thing, if you were not paying attention during when I was scoping out players for the draft 2 years ago, if you were around for the film study, you probably noticed what I'm about to tell you. If you were not, well, this is going to come as a bit of a surprise to you. Panay Sewell was actually pushing people 5 yards past the line of scrimmage right from the snap. Now, how many offensive linemen? Not very many. That's why this man got my attention right away. And it's a testament to how strong he is and how powerful and how built he is as an offensive lineman. You're going to have trouble getting past him as a defensive tackle. You know, we're not getting past him as a defensive tackle. Not with the guys that we have. Is to play the run stop. You know, don't try to. If you're a defensive tackle right now, don't try to push Panay Sewell. Just don't. Just stay back and be ready for the run. You know, plug up the gaps. Be ready for the run. But if you're a defensive end, push as hard as you can, because Goff has been known to be rattled under pressure. He does not run well, and you can get him in the pocket. And Burns, I'm talking to you, because, you know, you've had the most success doing this so far. So, yes, I am talking to you right at the moment. You'll have the most success tomorrow dealing with this. So I highly suggest pushing. Now, if you're Gross Matos, I suggest to you be ready to pull along the right side, or on your side of the ball, to make sure that these guys don't get sweeps or plays that could hurt us, like a counter. So I'm going to need him to get off his block, you know, instead of pushing full strength and trying to shut down some of these sweep plays and counter plays. You're going to have some help from Frankie Luvu over there. So I do ask that, you know, you be careful. And I say that because he hasn't been having much luck pushing any quarterback at all. No pressures, no sacks, no nothing so far. So what I need him to do is kind of shift into that mode of, okay, if this isn't working after the first two series, pull over to whatever side you're on, and let's see if we can shut down some of these counter plays instead. You know, get off your blocks on the offensive line and just go over there and shut down some of these counters. So we'll have that extra man over there that we didn't have before. You know, if that's what he's good at doing, then maybe we found a new way to use him. But realistically, he's not getting much help. He's not been much help pass rushing so far, and that's his primary position. So I'm a little concerned about that, guys. We need a strong pass rusher in this draft coming up. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We need one. Third corner as well. That's got to happen. Um, we got to have a left guard position filled because I don't think Michael Jordan is it. So that's 3 positions we've got to fill. 4 is linebacker because Frankie can't do all this stuff by himself. Shaq can help you up to a point. But Damian Wilson is pretty much a no-show on most of these plays. Like, show me what he's done so far this year. Really. Other than run support. Any linebacker can do run support. And shut down. And Frankie you're doing back there. So you need somebody that can do both. And we don't have that right now in Damian Wilson. No offense to him. He's good at what he does, run stopping. No, but it's not enough. And like I said, that's 4 positions we got to draft in this upcoming draft. Yeah. We got the NBA Michael Jordan on our offensive line. We didn't get the we didn't get the football off left guard Michael Jordan. That we're hoping we would get. And it sucks because I want a solid depth in our offensive line. That's what I want ultimately. And that's what we should all want. And we were able to rely on that, and just go next man up, next man up, next man up. And it truly meant next man up because we're not losing anything when we pulled the next man up with an injury, So that's what I want us to get back to within two to 3 years time, no matter who the head coach is that we hire. So, and Michael Jordan is not necessarily the guy, in my opinion. No offense to him, but I don't think he's it. That's funny. You probably thought that Shaq could possibly be a tackle if he wanted. That's a good one. Honestly, I don't follow the NBA that much, but I do know that Kevin Garnett was originally from South Carolina. A lot of people don't know that. But he moved up to Chicago so he could get drafted for a better draft spot. Just a little tidbit that people didn't really know, but now you do. So, in this Penei Sewell ending up on the Pro Bowl at right tackle instead of left tackle, where he was supposed to be drafted at and picked by the Lions, still puts a burr in my saddle. It still does, even to this day. It still does, y'all. I don't believe it. I don't believe what I'm seeing, to be real with you. Because if you take a look at how many snaps this man took at right tackle during college, it's like maybe, what, less than 30? And somehow this dude is suddenly a Pro Bowler? I don't understand this. I don't get it. Sewell can do both ends of the line. Yeah, he can. But that's not his primary position. His primary position is left tackle. And the Lions drafted him to be a right tackle. Well, if you're looking for an offensive lineman, you want them to be at their original position where they're strongest, correct? And when you got a guy like this that's a 6'5", 335-pound beast, yes, you can move him around to right tackle, but you'd prefer him at his original strength of position that he's supposed to be drafted in. And that's the argument I've been making since the beginning of this when you're talking about offensive linemen. Once you've got him on the roster, sure, you can do whatever you want with him if he's multi-positional. That's your choice as a coach at that point. But the fact that we could have drafted him as a left tackle and had him left tackle right away. We wouldn't even had to get Ike Ikwanu, who has been doing an excellent job for us, by the way. But I mean, we could have had both. Think about that for a minute. Just take a moment and think about that for a minute. We could have drafted Sewell 2 years ago. We could have got Icky and J.C. Horn. J.C. Horn was the choice that we had to make because of the fact that we couldn't get Sewell. So, frankly, we could have had both of these left tackles on our roster right now. That's a scary thought for defensive ends. That's a very scary thought. For all the things that Taylor Moton is not doing, Sewell would have stepped up and helped out with. We could have shifted him over there. We could have used him at left tackle for the most part as a developed 335-pound beast. And we could have been rock solid at left tackle. But no, we just had to have that revenge game against Washington, didn't we? God. Bless, that makes me mad. That still makes me mad today. However, I am not mad at all at the J.C. Horn pick. I'm very, very happy with the J.C. Horn pick as a second choice. Scott, you did great. I can't argue with that. You did fantastic, buddy. And as a result of that, we do have one solid corner today going into this Lions game. And throughout most of this year, that has scored a top grade over all the corners out there. And you're talking like some big names too. I mean, it's some crazy big names. I believe somebody posted it. If not, then I did at some point, didn't I? The list of them. Let me see. No, not so far. I'm looking. There's Frankie Luvu's numbers. Starting 10 games. 78 tackles, 5 sacks, 12 tackles for a loss, 1 pick, 3 pass deflections. Completion percentage allowed 77.4. And that's before we started that Pittsburgh game, by the way. So Frankie's having himself a year. And I love Frankie, man. He's my guy out there. He's straight up my guy. And I guess I didn't post it. That's unfortunate. I thought it was out there. But just in case you didn't know, Frankie Luvu's raising awareness for suicide prevention. So I do want to hype that up again. Great guy, doing it for his brother that passed away from suicide, and it's just, God, it's sad. It really is sad, but I love Frankie for doing this, man. I really do. Let's see. Our O line are dogs, and I love them. Yeah, man. Like I said, man, that's not a takeaway from the O line that we have right now. What I'm saying is we could have had Sewell and Icky about that, man. Think about that depth right there. That's some nasty depth. God, that's some nasty depth. At the worst possible position that we've had for 6 years before that point. That we could not get that issue solved for 6 years. And we could have solved that in literally 3 years' time. With these two guys alone. I mean, that's pretty wild, right? But yeah, we are where we are. Yeah, I guess nobody posted it, but I saw it throughout the week. But I do suggest if the Lions do not re-sign this man, we need to go after him immediately. We would be doing ourselves a major favor by doing so. I don't care how much money we got to pay out for this dude, because by the time he becomes a free agent and we can afford him, we need to go after him hard. Hard. Because I want offensive line depth. With the amount of injuries we've had on the offensive line over the past 7 to 8 years, it's absolutely critical that we re-sign Bozeman and we go after him, as a free agent in the future. Absolutely critical. Does that mean not re-signing Foreman? Maybe. Question mark. Because we don't know how much money we're going to have to use to get Foreman here. The talk was of $3 million, for a contract for like 2 years or something like that. But I don't see us re-signing him. That's the thing. He's going to want too much money. Yeah, exactly, Python. He's going to want too much money, and we don't have that much money to spend. Because frankly, we've got to re-sign Bozeman, we've got to re-sign Sam, we've got to re-sign a few other people, including J.J. Jensen, who is getting older. Now, you can draft a long snapper, but I would not suggest doing it this year. We can ride out one more year. Did you see the terrible Thursday game? That was remind me again who that was. Hold on. I gotta look. I unfortunately had other obligations on Thursday. So I did not. Oh, okay. Jacksonville and the Jets. Okay. Wow. The Jags actually beat the Jets? No kidding. Huh. Jacksonville's defense is starting to really impress me. They held the Jets to 3? No kidding. Huh. Okay. I mean, at this point, the Jags are still in the playoff race, but it's highly unlikely they get in. QB problems galore for the Jets. Yep, that's true. There was a lot of talk about Zach Wilson this week. Yeah, I did. I did overhear that while I was working this morning on ESPN Radio. They had a segment on where they were talking about Zach Wilson and whether he might be a good fit for us. I'm gonna say no. Plus, we were already in talks with Garoppolo, so that's a thing too. If Sam falls through and we've got enough money for Garoppolo, I say we greenlight it. But the problem is if we have enough money. Keywords. I don't know if we do or not. If we stick with Sam, we stick with Sam. That's how it is for 23. You know, and yes, we'll have a game management type style offense, which won't be enough, next year. But what I'm saying is, by the end of 23, we could draft a quarterback in that first round, no matter where we land, and still come out a winner. You know what I mean? So, in my mind, Sam would be a bridge. PJ would be a bridge, And then at that point, if you really, really like your drafted quarterback that you get in 23, out of a much better draft class than what we have this year, then I would say, it's a battle between Sam and PJ who takes the second string job. So, which would technically take place in 24. So we would have to wait a bit, but it would be worth it. And again, you've got the quarterback carousel going on as well, so you don't know who's going to land in there. We know Zach Wilson will. We know Garoppolo probably will as well. Those are the two locks so far for the quarterback wheel in free agency, but we don't know the rest. So, and we don't know what teams will be hunting for a quarterback, because Green Bay isn't totally sold on their backup. So to Rodgers, and knowing Green Bay, they may just re-sign Rodgers again. That's just how they do things up there, even though they screwed him over several times. And Rodgers would be absolutely infuriated during the offseason. It's going to be another one of those. So that's a whole nother can of worms and a mess up there that Green Bay has to deal with. And good luck to them. Because, oh man. Their management hasn't been known for being the kindest to their quarterbacks. And vice versa, the quarterbacks haven't been known to be that kind to the management ways. Started with Brett Favre. So, they've got their issues. So, I mean, if one of these quarterbacks drops out of Green Bay, we may have a shot at him. That's the point I'm trying to make. But that's far off into the future. We're not dealing with that just yet. We got several more issues to deal with first. Way before we ever get to that point. And right now, I think Sam has done a good enough job to be one of the three quarterbacks for 2023 on our roster. Now, I didn't say where on our depth chart. I said one of the three. Don't get it twisted, people. Don't get it twisted. I'm not saying this man should be the starter for 2023. No. I'm saying that we don't know for sure what's going to happen and we'll deal with that then. Right now, we're still in 2022 and we're still trying to make the playoffs, so let's focus on that, shall we? Don't get off the beaten track, folks. Don't get too far ahead of ourselves. That's one thing we don't want to do right now. We got enough on our plate right now as it is. All right, so like I said, Gross Matos would be better at stopping counters and sweep plays than pass rushing at the moment. That's how I'm feeling about Gross Matos. No offense to him as a defensive end, but he's just not. He's not cutting it as a starter right now at his natural position. So we'll need him to push his duties elsewhere. And like I said, he'll have help from Frankie Louvu. He'll have help from Shaq to try to shut down those counters and sweeps, and screen plays. But obviously, the game is evolving. And I know that's going to turn some people off for me to say that. But the game is evolving. Some of these players are playing multiple positions and they're doing different things other than their natural position. Over the past 20 to 30 years, it's evolved. Like, say, wide receivers are now blockers, on screenplays. Heavily blocked. Running backs are now wide receivers as well as running backs. And you're seeing a lot of running type quarterbacks in the last 30 to 40 years. So you didn't used to see that in the NFL. It used to just be pocket quarterbacks. And if they elude the tackler, great. But that's why they have those rules about the tackle box and all that stuff. So you got corners that have to come up and sometimes pass rush. You got safeties that get into blitz packages. These are things that these guys didn't naturally used to do back in the league. The old days of the league. So what I'm saying is, if that's possible, you could have a defensive end break off of an offensive lineman and go out and stop a sweep play or a counter play. That is a thing that they could do legally. There's nothing against that. There's nothing in the NFL rules saying you can't do that. So, to my knowledge, it's a secondary thing that defensive ends can now do. You don't see it very often, but they do it from time to time. That being said, I believe that Gross Matos would be better suited to do that rather than pass rush. Because he's not getting it done pass rushing wise. And that will be enough to get us by. Until we can get our all-star Pro Bowl defensive end, that we're going to get. That's going to happen. Folks, this draft, we're getting one. Now, he won't be a Pro Bowler right away. He's not going to become Greg Hardy right away, or Charles Johnson right away, But he'll still come out there and he'll still ball out in his rookie year, whoever we get. Now, knowing that fact, we've got to improvise until then. So, Um, just strictly dealing with this O line of the Jets, of the Lions here. I don't know why I said the Jets. I'm sorry. The Lions. It does look like they've got some depth. Look at this. That's pretty nasty. See, that's what we're looking for right there. That's the type of depth I'm looking for right there. And these are not small guys either. If you look at Dan Skipper, he's 6'9", 330. These are big bruisers. You know, Evan Brown. And 6'3", 312 at guard. These are the types of people that we need to be drafting, guys. 6'7", 318 at tackle. And I never said that these guys were great. I never said these guys were Pro Bowlers. But heck, man, 300-pound bruisers on that line in the depth chart. That's what we need to get back to. That is offensive line depth. That's what I'm looking for when I say offensive line depth. And this Lions GM knows what he's doing. Clearly. Because, he, like Steve Wilkes, understands that it all starts with the offensive line and the defensive line. So I'm very impressed with this Lions general manager. He has really built a nasty offense here. Now, if he gets that defense going, then the Lions are really going to be cooking. And this could be a real interesting team in the next few years. I just want to know who their GM is. I'm curious about that. Speaking of coaching, Luke Kuechly did not say no to a coaching job yet. He did not say no, folks. Just putting it out there. Yeah, admin. Let's see what we got. General manager. That's what I want. Assistant GM. Who is your actual GM? Ray Agnew. Okay. Is the assistant GM. It doesn't list the actual GM right now. That's what I was curious about. Okay, so we got a director of pro scouting, Rob, and we got a director of college scouting, Dave. You got your regional scouts, you got your area scouts, pro scouts, scouting assistants. All right, and that's pretty much what that looks like, to be honest. Oh, there we go. Brad Holmes. That's the name I was looking for. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Python Knight. Appreciate it. Yeah, I did miss him, and I found him. It took me a minute because he was hiding up there with the executive management. But yeah, Brad Holmes has done such a great job building up this offense, and he should be very proud of himself. You know, after all of the failed attempts of the Lions over the past 20 to 30 years, this dude has come back come into that position and revitalize the Detroit Lions into a playoff team. And if anybody thought that that was possible within 1 year, they're kidding themselves. No, it took 2 to 3 years of developing and building up this line and building up what they've got now and making that trade for Jared Goff. You know, which I feel like the Lions got the short end of the stick on that one. So maybe Brad's weakness is trading. But this way though, Goff has not been a bad thing for the Lions, you know, as far as the success goes. Um, uh, yeah, your offense is a monster now. All you need to work on is a secondary, and you can be golden for years to come. Yeah, you guys can have a very, very dangerous team for about 3 to 4 years. I can see that happening. Um, we still got a handful of things to deal with first, but then we could become a very, very dangerous team from 2024 probably on to 27. You know, maybe 28 if we can get everybody that we need. But I mean, we got to get through like a host of issues right now. We got some hoops to jump through before we can get there. A lot of work to do. The Goff trade was better for the Lions in the future and only good for the Rams at the moment. Yeah, that's what I feel like as well, Lock Poppy. But yeah, y'all pretty much traded the future away for Goff, and it's not ended well so far. It's only been to the Rams' benefit. Um, Considering you got Goff, 2 first rounders that came out to be like a 12 pick in Jameson Williams, and now currently a top 5 for the Super Bowl. For their Super Bowl ring, we're even. True. You got a 2 first rounders. Who'd y'all get with those 2 first rounders? Remind me again, because um. Yeah, you got Jamerson Williams, and you probably got like an offensive lineman, correct? I know y'all got Sewell from us. That was a major pain in the rear end. But good steal, by the way, by Detroit. I do give them credit. Good steal. It's legitimate. It still burns my saddle, but still good steal. Aiden Hutchinson. Yeah, that's right. Aiden Hutchinson. Thank you. I don't know why I didn't think of that name before. But he's the starting defensive lineman right now for you guys. And looking at this defense, I see Will Harris. I see Jeff Okuda. I see Deshaun Elliott as a major threat back there. The rest of it, Josh Pascal. Once they finally develop Josh Pascal, he could be very dangerous. And Amani could be dangerous as well at corner. So, y'all got some nasty people back here, man. I'm not saying that this is going to be a cakewalk, trying to score on you guys, but of course these guys do have their weaknesses too that we can take advantage of. But what I'm saying to you is it's not going to be a cakewalk trying to to put points on the board. Um, Sam's got to bring his best ball if we want to win this game. Secondary and Connor in another corner would be our drafting for next year, as well as another interior defensive lineman. I agree with that. I absolutely agree, based on what I'm seeing here. Um, yeah, because y'all got burnt a lot at corner, and definitely need a defensive tackle because the run game has been the run defense for you guys has been very, very concerning if you're a Lions fan right now. You know, so we could take full advantage of that with Foreman. And we're going to. And my thing is, like, how much are we going to get Tommy Tremble involved? How much are we going to get a couple of these other guys involved? Because most of these guys don't end up getting used at all. You know, Ian Thomas barely gets thrown to, maybe once a game. So my thought is, you know, how much are we going to use some of these wide receivers that we've got? We're not even throwing Shi Smith in at all. Not even that much at all. Maybe a couple of catches a game. Now, granted, they're big catches. They're big plays when we do use them. But, you know, how often do we use them? That's the thing. Ben McAdoo doesn't know how to really detrimental to our wide receivers right now. That's why you don't see DJ getting that many throws. Because we've been a 60-40 run predominant offense. And, you know, while that's not a bad thing, considering what teams we played against, you know, and what their defensive defensive lines look like, you know, we still need to open this offense up more. And I don't think Ben McAdoo is the guy to do it. Is at the moment you're dealing with a guy that says, "Oh well, it's a good day if my key card works." I mean, come on. And then he starts out a presser with, "Can I help you?" You know, like it's a McDonald's drive-through. Like it's so dumb, dude. It's so dumb. And I'm not saying that he's a bad offensive coordinator. I'm just saying he's a game manager type offensive coordinator. And that won't cut it next year. That's not going to cut it. When the NFL gets back to normal and you start seeing some of these teams go pass heavy, back the way they were, to where it's more 50-50 out there, you know, run versus pass type offenses, where most of the league is running RPOs right now, you know, you're going to see that the game manager type offense is not going to cut it against some of these offenses, you know, to match them on the scoreboards. So, to me, we need to find a better offensive coordinator, and he is not it. Someone mentioned Scott Turner. Now, this is Norv Turner's son. And this is the first anyone has offered that name. And it was in a smaller YouTube channel chat, which I was not expecting that. You know, my friend put me onto, David put me onto this YouTube channel. I forget the name of it. But otherwise, I would definitely shout him out. Because I really do like this guy. Let me see if I can find him. Let me hide the screen so I could find him real quick for you guys. Not that one. I do encourage people to check out like different YouTube channels and stuff like that, other than just mine. You know, definitely sub to mine and stay active in mine, but go ahead and check out some of these other channels though too. Don't just stop at mine. Because some of these guys put out some really great content, and it's a lot of fun. Yeah, here he is. Let me make sure this is muted. Yeah. Shout out to Blitzball Champ, man. I really like this guy. I was listening to one of his streams the other day, and that's where I got the idea for Scott Turner as an offensive coordinator. And I thought, wait a minute. We had him for a little bit with Norv Turner on this coaching staff. He was an assistant, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think he ever rose up to the offensive coordinator job before. So I don't know really, would he follow in his dad's footsteps with that offense, or would he have his own ideas of what an offensive playbook should look like in Carolina? So, I mean, that's an interesting and intriguing idea compared to all these other offensive coordinators that people are mentioning that have only been in their positions for 1 year, such as the Chargers offensive coordinator and the Lions offensive coordinator. You're not going to lure that Lions offensive coordinator out of Detroit. It's just not going to happen. Once he's found his success for 1 year, he's not going to get uprooted. No. He's not Josh McDaniels. Sorry. That's just not going to happen. So, and I don't see the Chargers offense coordinator leaving either. And then you got people talking about Ken Dorsey, who still has not even had a full year up in Buffalo either. And on top of that, you got Bellamy in KC, who has been through the coaching ring for 3 years now, with open positions in all 3 years, I might add, at head coaching job. And this is going to sound like a broken record, and I've said this before on a couple of other streams, but why? Why is this man not getting a head coaching job? You got to wonder. Is he turning it down? How many offers has this man gotten in those 3 years? Because I would think it's at least 4. At least 4. And he hasn't gotten a single one of them. Now, do they have the book on this dude, or is he just turning these down? It makes me wonder. It makes us all wonder, doesn't it? How do you go through the coaching cycle for 3 years and not land a head coaching job? Unless, folks, think about this. He's feeling way too comfortable in KC to leave that job. Because he knows he already just got a ring with Andy Reid. But people didn't think about that. They're too busy thinking, oh, head coaching job. Y'all got to get out of your tunnel vision, man. I'm telling you. I'm telling y'all. Y'all stuck in your tunnel vision. All you see is head coaching position. You don't see anything else. Man, y'all killing me. Y'all killing me with this stuff. Alright. Ben Johnson leaves the Lions. It's likely for a head coaching position, if anything. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Although I don't see Ben Johnson leaving Detroit right now. I don't see it. Not with Goff there, not with that offensive line, not with the setup that they have. When they know that they could put together a really, really good defense very, very soon and become a major playoff threat for the next 3 years, I don't see it. I don't see why Ben would want to leave that spot. It just makes no sense to me. Same with the Chargers offensive coordinator. When you know the Chargers have been competitive for the last 3 to 4 years in that AFC West, I don't see that happening either. So I mean, something's got to give here. If you're looking for an offensive coordinator, something's got to give. Not even just a head coaching position if you don't like Wilkes, but even just if you're going for an offensive minded head coach, somebody's got to give out of this list. Or nobody. Or nobody at all. I mean, who are you going to get? If none of these guys pan out, who are you going to go for then? And see, like, that's why I bring up Scott Turner. He's worked with us before. Now, I didn't say he was successful with us before. I said he's worked with us before. Big difference. We don't know who he is as an offensive coordinator yet. But, I mean, for 23, where we have, like, two bridge quarterbacks and Matt Corral, who we don't know much about, why not? Let's take a swing. We're not doing anything in 23. We know this. We could possibly win the division, but with it being as weak as it is, I say we take a swing and let's see what happens. Because we know that Norv Turner ran a West Coast offense, and if his son follows that trend, it's going to be a West Coast offense. And there's not much wrong with that. When you're missing that with a RPO type offense, which PJ does run very well. And we know that Sam can now handle a little bit of it. So, to my knowledge, about this offense so far, what we know this year under Wilkes, that makes the most sense to me as far as what we should do. But, that's my suggestion. As of right now, that could change in a few months. Who knows? Depending on whose name pops up out there. We don't know. The Colts need a head coach. Cardinals needs a lot. Raiders probably need a head coach or offensive coordinator. Panthers, I don't know. Well, I'm telling you about the Panthers right now. Broncos are just an offensive nightmare. Yeah. Nobody wants that Broncos job. I can tell you that right now. Nobody wants that job. Nobody wants the Cardinals job either. That's a guarantee. Nobody's going to want that one. With everything going on over there. The Colts, you could possibly do something. Because, they've been shifting quarterbacks like it's musical chairs. But the thing is, if you can find something that works, and build up an O-line over there in Indianapolis, that could work. So if you want that coaching job over there, the first thing you got to be concerned with is fixing the offensive line. Then go after the quarterback job and try to fix that. Then whatever else comes. Because I don't know what else they need over in Indy. But I know that they probably need a few weapons over there too, a wide receiver. But they got a decent running back. I say a decent one. I'm not going to say a great one, but a decent one. So, Raiders, that's a big question mark right there. I have no idea what the Raiders need right now. That's a mess right there. Um, so until I know more about the Raiders, I'm not really going to pay them that much attention to them for the moment. Unless it directly impacts us. Um, but yeah, we really need to secure Steve Wilks as a head coach, I think, in my opinion. And there's some that still disagree with that. And there's been a few arguments out there as to why not. You know, most of it has to do with our schedule and with our record and, you know, but I will say this again. I'll say this as many times as I have to. Some of this stuff that Steve Wilks is doing does not translate to the scoreboard in the first year. It just does not. You know, things such as leadership, locker room integrity, discipline, uh, the technical skills on the field, you know, motivation, passion for the game. Those five things, we've already managed to fix all of those things just in the first year. So I want to tell you that I'd love to say that we beat legitimately tough teams so far, but we haven't. It's been a soft NFL schedule this year, being that it's such a weird year. However, you know, even even a guy such as Wilkes can take advantage of something like that. You know, any halfway decent head coach could take advantage of that schedule. You know, using those five things. But putting them into practice game after game after game after game, consistently. And not just talking the talk, but walking the walk in the press room and on the field. That's what I'm saying. Steve Wilkes has earned his spot as interim right now. As far as I'm concerned, I think he should get the head coaching job permanently. I'm going to keep advocating for it. I have not changed my mind, and I'm not going to. You're not going to change my mind on this one. Unless you got a very, very, very compelling argument. And it better be somebody real good. Um, you know, um, Mike Tomlin is not going to cut it for me. Sean Payton is not going to cut it for me. Both of those guys you have to trade for the rights of. Yeah. The front management is in talks with him as a possible head coach permanently. And that's a great thing. I kept saying it's a great thing. Because who else are you going to get? None of the rest of these guys are capable of running this team the way Wilkes is. He's got a vision, guys. He's got a vision. One game at a time. But he's got a vision. He knows what's at the end of the road if we take it one game at a time. But he's only focusing on one game at a time. See, that's the thing. That's the mistake a lot of these coaches make. Guys. And Steve Wilkes is not about to make that mistake. These 3-year guys, they keep making the same mistake over and over and over again. They think, oh, well, I can look ahead 3 years ahead and say, oh, well, this team is going to look like this and this and this and this and this. And we can set out a whole ton of goals and never even meet about half of them. But Steve Wilkes says, wait a minute. Slow your roll. Slow it down. Let's take it game by game by game. Week by week by week. Whatever happens this week is what happens this week. We have a set number of goals for this week. And that's exactly what Ron Rivera did. And that's why he was so successful in the early days. And I'm talking before Super Bowl 50, you know. I'm saying, you know, that whole 14 and 15 season, this is exactly what Ron Rivera did right. He said, we're going to take it game by game. We're going to take it step by step. And Steve Wilkes took this knowledge and he learned from it. And he said, we did this and this and this right. You know, let's continue to do these things. Let's set these in place. Let's reestablish what worked. And that's why I'm proud of throwing you my support for Steve Wilkes right there. That's one of many reasons. I can continue and on and on and on and on. But people don't want to hear it because they got tunnel vision on what the heck they want. You know, so I'm like, okay, well, you guys go for your targets and I'll go for Wilkes. You know? And we'll see which one is right at the end of the tunnel. Because at the end of the day, man, I really do believe Wilkes will win this battle. I really do. And it's the right decision for this franchise going forward. For once, in 8 years, we're finally going to have a coach that really loves this team. Not just sees it as a chance to succeed, you know, at his position. Or a chance to keep his job and not lose it. You know, we finally got a coach that actually wants to win his job and stay there. And actually cares about these players. He actually cares about the city of Charlotte. He cares about every part of this franchise. And I may be one of the few people that actually gets this as a YouTuber. I may be one of the few people out there, out of all the YouTubers, that understands this. And I'll still stick to my guns. I'm not going anywhere. You're not going to scare me off. You know, you're not going to change my mind unless you got something really compelling to change my mind with. You know, I'm not going away. I'm not jumping off this train. I'm staying on it. All the way. So, and thus far, I have not heard any arguments that were compelling enough to make me change my mind. None. Lions head coach is the same way. He was part of that 0-6 team back in 08. So he understands the garbage that Detroit has been with. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I hope we keep Wilkes for another year. Here's the thing, man. Yes, we can afford to have Wilkes for another 2 years. Yes, we can. We can afford a prove-it deal. If you guys are not sold on Steve Wilkes, can you at least agree on 1 year? At least 1 year. I say 2 years. 2 years and you'll see results. I guarantee it. I guarantee you will see results with Wilkes in 2 years. No question about it. Once we get out of this cap situation that we're in, you will see it. The only question mark we have is, can he draft properly? That's the only one I've got. And ladies and gentlemen, that's when you've checked every other box, and that's the only one you got to check left. Dude, Scott Fitterer's got this. That's a home run. That's a touchdown and a half right there. That's a touchdown celebration for Steve Wilkes. It's a picnic on a Sunday afternoon because you give Scott Fitterer full control of the draft. You got this, guys. Come on. Even if Steve Wilkes is not that great of a drafter, Scott's got this. We're in great hands. If that's your only weakness, shoot. Sign the man right now. This is, yeah. Give him 1 year to build the team the way he wants. Agreed. Vietnam, you got a deal there. 1 year. If he cannot show you after 2 years' time what this team will look like in 3 or 4, even just a glimpse of it, then you're free to choose somebody else. But I believe Scott and Wilkes will turn this team around completely. And by that point, we are going to look like the 14 and 15 team that we're meant to look like. I truly believe that. Honestly. If you don't have faith in Wilkes, give him 2 years. I think that's reasonable. Give him a chance to get out of the cap situation at least. And then see what he does. Because, and that's why I say 2 years, not just 1. Because we need to get out of this cap situation. And then we can find out what type of a coach he is as he's building it. He'll have that 1 full year in 24 to completely just build the way he wants. And I gotta tell you, the way he's managing this depth chart right now, it's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be exactly what we're looking for. Scott would draft better with higher picks. That way, if he traded up, we won't be a lot giving up. Frankly, you're gonna see probably a top 10 to 15 pick this year, possibly the same next year. Because of 23, it's gonna drag on, but 24 after the 24 season, don't expect a high pick anymore, because we don't need it. At that point, we will have gotten the people that we needed, at essential positions, and made sure that we locked up those positions. So, in so doing, then we start looking at depth. And we won't need a high pick for that. We just go for depth players. That's what I'm trying to tell you. We have a vision. We have a plan under Wilkes. And Wilkes sees the vision. He sees the plan. He sees what he can create. Although he's taking it 1 week at a time, he does see the vision. And it's a very beautiful vision, my friends. It's a very beautiful vision. So, be patient. Be patient with the man. 23 probably won't yield the results you're looking for because of the fact that, 1, the NFL is shifting back to normal. 2, we have a cap issue. 3, We don't even know how many of these players are still going to stay on this roster in 23. So we won't have a chance to build in 23. We just have to ride out 23. Is realistically what we have to do. If that takes the shape of winning the division, absolutely agree. I'm all I'm fully on board that train. Let's do it. Under Wilkes. But if we can't do it, then so be it. We'll take our high picks, we'll draft. You know, Whatever 23 looks like, it looks like. That's the way I see it. Same with this draft. Whatever this draft looks like, it looks like. 24 is the draft that's going to matter because at that point, we should not expect a high draft pick in 24. After that point, we should not. With Wilkes in control. I'll say that as plainly as I can. Because 24 is the year we're going to start making runs. I can guarantee that. Under Wilkes and Scott, we will start making runs. And I heard a few people giving Al Holcomb some grief this week. And I mean, yeah, he does deserve a tiny bit of it when it comes to nickel and dime type defenses, and when he chooses to employ them out there, as far as coverages. But overall, give him a break because Keith Taylor is who he is. I've said this multiple times. Keith Taylor is who he is. You're not going to change that. You're not going to change that overnight in a Pittsburgh game. I'm sorry, you're just not. And everybody that thinks that Keith Taylor is, the greatest thing since sliced bread out there at corner is sadly mistaken. I'm sorry to tell you, you are sadly mistaken. That's a bad take. And I've heard that from like 2 or 3 different streamers this week, and I'm like, no, don't do this. Don't do this. We have known since day one this man has coverage issues. I have pointed it out since day one in training camp. Have I not, folks? Since he was a rookie. A rookie. God almighty, man. We got cornerback coaches that can get that. They can at least make a little bit of progress with him. And they did. They did as much as they could. But Keith Taylor is who he is. What more do you want? What do you want him to suddenly turn into J.C. Horn out there in a year? It's not going to happen. You want him to turn into Bradbury within a year? Good luck with that. That's unrealistic. So, and we also have coverage issues with Shaq. We knew this coming into that game too. I mean, come on. I pointed it out several times. Don't act like I haven't. Watch the VODs. If you don't believe me. I have pointed that out multiple times too. So it's not Al Holcomb's total fault here, okay, for the Pittsburgh loss. Let's not do that. Alright, folks? And I've heard that from like 2 or 3 YouTubers this week, and I'm just like, no. That's a bad take. I'm sorry, but that's just a bad take. I pointed these weaknesses out several times. Don't try to pull the wool over Panthers fans' eyes, man. Just don't do it. Because the people in this group already know what these weaknesses are. They should by now. I've said them so many times it's like a broken record. So Lions aren't expecting a high draft pick in 24 as well. Yeah, agreed. Both of our teams should be doing really well in 24. If we're not, we're doing something wrong and we need to fix it. Clearly, something ain't working in 24. You know what I mean? But I think both of our teams will probably end up riding through 23 and just getting whatever we get. That's what I see for us and the Lions. Both of our teams. Um, um, that offense, though, that's. Mm. Ooh, excuse me. Is that the same Zylstra that we let go of? No, that's a tight end. Okay. That's the second time I got fooled by that, by the way. Because we had a wide receiver named Zylstra. He was like third or fourth string on our depth chart that we let go of. I don't know where he ended up either, by the way. I would really like to know that. Why do you have like. Here's my question for you guys. Why do you have like 5 running backs? Good grief. Why do you guys have four? Why do you have 5 running backs? You don't. Are there typically a lot of injuries with running backs in Detroit right now? That's my question for Python Knight. Because he's a Lions fan. Um, Maybe he could answer that one. I've been wondering that for a while now. Yeah, you have a wide receiver and a tight end named Zylstra. Oh. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Oh, he's not listed in the depth chart. Let me see something. All right, so the injuries for this Sunday, injury reports list the offensive tackle Owulska is out with an ankle injury. Jason, the fullback, with an injury, with a illness, out. Deshaun Elliott with a shoulder injury, out. Derek Barnes with a knee injury, the offensive linebacker, limited practice all week, questionable. Now that is truly a worthy of the questionable status right there, because if you're listing yourself as limited all week, that's, I would say, probable. It's a 50-50 shot right there. Depends on how bad that knee is. Frank Ragro, the center, foot injury. Did not practice Tuesday and Wednesday. Limited practice on Thursday. Questionable. Now, because this is a Saturday game and we got flexed, they put the practices on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. You got another offensive uh, lineman here with a ankle injury. Limited practice on Tuesday and Wednesday. Full practice on Friday. Thursday. No status. I bet you he's going to go. Probably. Taylor Decker, same thing. No status. He's probably going to play. Matt Nelson, not injury related. Did not practice on Wednesday. Full practice on Thursday. He'll probably be in or available for this game. Michael Brockers, defensive tackle, illness, full practice all week. He's probably going to play. Now, I want to ask this, Python. How many of these are lingering injuries on this injury list that you know of? Since you're a Lions expert person here, and you're welcome to join Zoom chat if you wish, and answer some of these questions if you'd like. But you can also answer them in chat if you want to as well. No pressure. Whatever you feel comfortable with, my friend. Um, but Zoom chat is open if anybody wants to join it. Uh, and we can talk about any Panthers players that you guys wish. Um, Swift is a little injury prone, and as far as Reynolds and Cabina, I don't know. Mm. So when you say injury prone, what type of injuries has he had so far, other than the one that's listed? I'm curious about that. Um, I want to say the Zostra brothers are on practice squad right now. Okay. The tight end is not. The tight end is on the 53 for the Lions. Frank is likely to play. He's a madman. Ooh. Okay, okay, okay. So, you say the center is likely to play. Okay. I'll take you at your word on that. Um, Frank has been Brown, I believe he's been Decker. Have all been long lasting injuries, and they've been playing past them all. Wow. Really? It's some tough guys, man. Some of these injuries that are listed on here are no joke. His shoulder injury is the most recent. He has had ankle problems as well. Ooh. Okay. Talking about Swift. In answer to that question about Swift. Um, what's his injury prone status? Uh, it, so you're talking about an ankle injury. You're talking about knee, foot, ankle, elbow injuries. These guys are toughing all of this stuff out, man. Gosh, that's a tough set of guys. I got respect for that. And this cold weather is going to amplify these injuries by about tenfold. So I would be careful, out in that cold weather if I was the Lions right now. You don't want to lose any of these guys. And on our end, all of these guys are designated to play. And that includes Joel, the linebacker, J.C. Horn, who's been dealing with that shoulder injury. We did get a full practice out of him on Thursday, so that's good. Ian Thomas with a thigh injury, that's a new one for me. I haven't heard about the thigh. Full practice though. Hartsfield ankle injury, but he's full practice, which is good. C.J. Henderson is finally back, full practice all 3 days this week. That's the biggest one right there. And as well as Hartsfield. Really happy to have both of them back. Um, we knew that Horn had been dealing with the shoulder injury. That's not new. We knew that Hartsfield had been dealing with that ankle injury. That's not new. Um, but yeah, I did not hear about the Ian Thomas thigh injury until just now. So that's a new one. And our most injury has been Elliott with the shoulder, and he's out for tomorrow. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. Um, But that's the injury update. And like I've been saying all week, in the last few weeks actually, we're going to need all hands on deck for this game against the Lions. We really are, if we want any shot at winning this thing. And as long as we put up a respectable showing, even if we don't win, I will take that. You know, I'm not going to be mad. I'm going to be satisfied that we at least put up a really good fight, you know, trying to defend our home turf, you know. And I was almost offered a ticket for that game today. So, I mean, I'm not sure I want to be out there in that 20-degree weather, but it is what it is. Like every game that I've ended up with, besides that Green Bay game back in 15. So like for the 5 games that I've been at in the entire time that I've been a Panthers fan, we've been 5-0. Maybe it's just my good luck charm, man. But maybe it is. Maybe it is. But I definitely would not want to ruin that streak. And I'm not sure about this Lions game, guys. I'm really not. It's making me highly nervous. I don't think we're going to take it. Now with all of those guys coming back, you're talking about like 2, 3, 4 offensive linemen. 4 offensive linemen that will be playing that were on this list and a defensive tackle. Plus a linebacker. So, that's... Ooh. And, how many of those guys were starters? I'm looking right now. Because now that I've got an idea of who we're talking about. Okay, there's him. Alright. A few of those guys were starters. I got you. Yeah, Frank's a starter. Okay, cool. Cool. So, we know where these guys stand. Yeah, Frank, Brown, Decker, and Elliott are starters. Yep, thank you. That's what I was wondering about. Okay. Depending on the rest of the NFC South, couldn't the Panthers be eliminated this weekend? No, not necessarily. And I'll show you why, folks. I was going to get to this, actually. And this is why I have the playoffs machine up. Alright, so if you consider the fact that Baltimore will beat the Falcons on Sunday, that's going to happen. Lamar Jackson is clearly better than that Falcons defense. It's been shown. Alright, come on. We'll come back to this Panthers and Lions game in a minute. Bills over the Bears, obviously. Browns over the Saints. Saints aren't scoring more than 20 right now. Unless they can surprisingly get a win there, then I don't see it. But we do need to root for the Browns. Just in case. Okay? So, folks, root for the Browns. KC over the Seahawks. We've got the Vikings over the Giants. They're just the better team. The Bengals over the Patriots. Texans played a real good game last week. I could see the Texans winning that game. San Fran over Washington. That puts the Lions in 7th seed. Pay attention, Lions fans. There you go. Now, we're going to come back to this Cowboys and Eagles game because I do believe the Cowboys are going to win. But that's a big one right there. That's going to determine a lot in the NFC South. In the NFC as a whole, as far as seeding goes. Steelers over the Raiders. Something just tells me Rodgers is going to have a good game against the Dolphins. I just have that feeling. And it's going to put the Ravens in. Denver over the Rams right now. Rams are having their own problems right now. And if that continues, they're going to have a really high draft pick very, very soon. Because they've been eliminated from the playoffs. They've only been scoring 16 points per game. And they've allowed 22.9 on average. Oof. Their offensive rank is 32nd, last in the league. That's why I believe the Broncos are going to win. Look at that. 4th ranked defensive unit right there. That's the unit we played not even 2 weeks ago. And they're still ranked 4th. Still top 5. We'll come back to this Buccaneers and Cardinals game in a minute. That's going to be critical right there. Chargers over the Colts. Alright, so now is the time we come back to this Cowboys and Eagles game here because of the fact that this is going to affect the projections here as far as the final record. Shout out to Kenny for checking out the Facebook stream. How you doing, man? Go give his pages a follow if you guys don't mind. But back to what I was saying. Cowboys should beat the Eagles. They're going to expose the Eagles. This is an Eagles team that people think are the best in the league. Oh, they're the best thing since sliced bread. Wait till the Cowboys expose these guys, man. I'm telling you. Just wait. Just wait. It's going to happen. Python says, "Oh, trust me, Lions have been hard bored watching the Seahawks, Commanders, and Giants." Yep. Exactly. Broncos first round is the Seahawks. Yep. I think the Eagles Cowboy game varies depending on if Hurts plays hurt or not, which he isn't due to his shoulder injury. Exactly. That's what I was going to point out. Was Hurts. Very astute right there. So this man's paying attention. See, when you got Hurts not getting it done for the Eagles right now, and the Cowboys are as strong as they have been the last few weeks, that's an easy pickoff win for the Cowboys at home. Oh yeah. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all, man. The Eagles might have a few weapons, but they are not anything compared to the Eagles. The Cowboys' defense and what they have built in the last few weeks with Dak. It's not going to be close. Now, that brings me to our game against the Lions. Now, keep in mind, if we do lose, and there's a strong possibility we do lose to the Lions, that puts us in a position where we need to keep an eye on the Buccaneers game. Heavily keep an eye on the Buccaneers game and this Saints game. Because if the Saints win, they're back in the running. But for right now, they're out. You know, as far as their schedule is concerned, they're out. Because I don't see them getting more than 20 points a game. As of right now, they're averaging about 20. So I'm not worried about them. Cowboys obviously are going to be playing whoever wins the South with this 5th seed. So no matter what happens here, it's going to be the Cowboys first round. That's pretty much a lock. Which brings me back to this Buccaneers and Cardinals game here. Now imagine if let me play with people's emotions a little bit here, because I want to do this. I want to play a little bit of devil's advocate here. What if the Cardinals win this game? Okay, that puts them 6-9, still a game ahead of everybody. It's still going to look the same as it did last week, except for one game up over everybody else. Now, if the Bucs lose, win that game, that's a 2-game lead over everybody. Keep that in mind, folks. 2-game lead. Now you shift into week 17. And like I said, we will continuously go back to this Buccaneers and Cardinals game, because it's going to matter. That's a key game right there. That's one of the 2 key games. Alright, so Cowboys beat the Titans. That's an easy one. Falcons and Cards. That's going to be a tough one right there. I don't know. Cards road record is 3-3. Falcons home record is 1-6. Oof. That might be one that the Cards might take, actually, which would knock Atlanta down to the bottom of the division. In this particular Steelers and Ravens matchup, I could see the Steelers winning that. I'm gonna go to the chat real quick. If Hurts plays, I think Eagles sweep that game personally against the Cowboys. Really? I have a hard time believing the Cardinals could win that game against against the Buccaneers or the Falcons. You're talking about the Buccaneers game, right? Cards versus the Bucs. Now, the reason I say that is playing with people's emotions, because I do believe that the Bucs will win this game against the Cards. I do believe that. But if you look at it, look at how many average points the Cards have scored. 20. Versus the underachieving Buccaneers offense that scored about 17.6 average. Barely getting above 20. Now, what's going to matter here is who has the better defense, and that's going to be the Buccaneers. With a top 10 defense. And I do believe that's accurate. Top 10 defense for the Buccaneers. I will give them that. But when you look at this Falcons game, these guys are pretty even for the most part. I do believe the Cardinals do have a better offense and defense, but not by much. It's going to be a tight one. But I do give the Cards the nod. Lions over the Bears. Easy win. Jags over the Texans. Jags have something to play for right now. They're trying to get that 4th seed right now. Thus far, they have it. Chiefs over the Broncos. Retaining home field advantage right there. And 1st seed. Patriots somehow beat the Dolphins and get into the playoff chase. Dolphins go on a skid. I can see that happening. Giants somehow find their way past the Colts, the struggling Colts right now, by some miracle. The Eagles beat the Saints. Saints are not putting up enough points. Eagles are dominating softer opponents. Therefore, Eagles win. We beat the Buccaneers. That puts us only a game back behind the Bucs. Washington somehow finds their way past Cleveland in a tight one. San Fran beats the Raiders. Jets beat the Seahawks. Or, in this case, I believe the Seahawks are actually better because the Jets have gone on quite the 2-game skid there. Their quarterback issues. So, you know what? Seahawks. I'm going Seahawks. Although, don't sleep on that Jets defense, though. Don't sleep on it. Because it is still really legitimate. They did manage to hold my guy out there, Trevor Lawrence, to less than 20 points. So, I mean, you got to keep that in mind. He had a monster game last week, by the way. Vikings beat Green Bay in Lambeau. In Lambeau Field. That's going to happen. Although Rodgers will start shredding that Vikings defense, though. He will. It won't be enough, though. Chargers over the Rams. Bengals in a surprising upset over the Bills. Now, this is not the first time this has happened this year, where the Bills have been upset by somebody that's bigger than them, that people thought were even with them. You know, surprise, surprise, the Bengals are stronger. All right, now, that in mind, you roll into Week 18. We beat the Saints. Eagles somehow win that game over the Giants, even though they're playing subs. You know, Eagles feel like they've got the division locked up, but the Giants still have something to play for, don't they? They want that 6th seed. Or do they want the 7th seed against the Vikings? Which one would you rather play if you're the Giants right now? Personally, I'd rather play the Vikings. I would not want to match up against San Francisco with that defense right now. Not at all. Nope. I'd rather just take that L and just go 7th seed against the Vikings, and you'll have an easier playoff path. Trust me. You will. It's to your benefit to let that one slide in Week 18. Steelers beat the Browns. Steelers get that 7th round seed. They're in. Vikings. Bills beat the Patriots, securing their spot. Bengals secure their spot. Lions beat Green Bay. I see that happening, actually. Rodgers has been really struggling. And if that continues and that slide continues, ooh-wee. Ooh-wee. I would not want to be Rodgers right now. He is about to get real frustrated very, very soon. Once Mike is good back for the Jets, they'll be good again. That's true. That's true. How much longer for White? How much longer on his injury? Personally, rather have the Vikings, but the Lions and Vikings probably want round 3. Yeah, that's true, man. They probably do. I'm not even gonna lie to you. They probably do. Those two really want to hit each other hard. That's a tough, tough matchup right there. But Washington can't get in at this point. So guess who wins? Dallas. Washington has nothing to play for week 18. Chargers do. They are trying to secure that 5th seed and make sure they get it. But if the Broncos win, see, they still get it, but it's tough, man. It's tough. It's a battle between 5th and 6th seed here between Baltimore and the Chargers. But Chargers will win that one. They are the tougher team. They will find their way around that 4th round, that 4th ranked defense of the Broncos and take it. Chiefs over the Raiders. Obviously, Chiefs have the better team, but their defense is really struggling lately. Keep that in mind, folks. When they play a quality offense like the Raiders, it's not going to be good. It's going to be a tight game. San Fran over the Cards. Seahawks over the Rams. By this point, Zach should be back against the Dolphins. Although I would probably rest him, to be honest with you. But whoever they decide to start should be good enough to take on the Dolphins. Jags with a surprising win over the Titans. Colts with a win over the Texans. I mean, at this point, it's seeding. So, you know, Texans want to ensure that they get that number 1 seed in the draft. That number 1 spot in the draft. They want to make sure they lock it up. The Colts. Let's see. Yeah, they're gonna end up about 5 wins. So they'll be top 5. So this Colts game here will be determined by seeding in the top 5 of the draft order. Now, we finally return to this Buccaneers and Falcons game because this is critical. Now, if the Falcons beat the Buccaneers, look what happens. We take the division. 7-10 tie for first place with the Buccaneers. We've already beaten the Buccaneers in week 17 to this point in the projections. Therefore, we take the division. If, however, the Buccaneers win this game, they take the division by 1 game. We end up in 2nd place. No wild card for us. We are eliminated. So, frankly, if the Falcons can somehow find a way to beat the Bucs in Week 18, we have a solid shot. But watch what happens if we somehow beat the Lions. This game does not matter. This Buccaneers and Cardinals game does not matter at that point if we beat the Lions somehow, miraculously tomorrow. If the Bucs win against the Cards in that game, they're still a game behind, and we control our own division by a whole game. Even if the Bucs should win against the Falcons in Week 18, we will still have that first place tie and still win it at 8-9. Because guess what, folks? We already beat Tampa Bay in Week 17. So there you go. There's our playoff path. That's what you're looking at right there. You expect the Titans to get swept by the Jags? Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So essentially, worst case scenario, we are really, really hoping for a Falcons win here. And I think that's going to happen. But overall, I think the rest of the playoffs are pretty much set in stone here. You got the Eagles first round. Bye with the Giants in 7th seed, Lions in 6th. Either 6th or 7th seed for the Lions, depending on the Giants. Either way, both of them are in. Vikings in 2nd seed. 49ers have locked up 3rd seed. Dallas is locked up 5th. I mean, that's what we're looking at. If you're looking at the AFC side, there's a very strong chance the Jags make it at this point. The Chargers make it at 11-6. Baltimore in the 6th seed against Buffalo, 3rd seed, and that's going to be in Buffalo. So Baltimore's done. I don't see Baltimore surprising the Bills. I don't see that happening. The Bills are battle tested now. They've seen like 2 or 3 upsets now. So there's no reason to believe that Buffalo will not be ready for that game. Pittsburgh against the Bengals. Pittsburgh will be eliminated. It'll be KC and the Bengals for a divisional round matchup. Now, it's going to be the Chargers against the Bills for a divisional matchup. In which case, the Bills will win. So, what I'm telling you is it's going to be between these 3 teams here. KC, the Bengals, and the Bills. And I'm betting it's going to be a Bengals-Bills AFC Championship game. Or a Bengals-Ravens AFC Championship game. If the Ravens somehow surprise the Bills and get past the Chargers, which could happen. Keep in mind, the Ravens have been known to cause chaos in the playoffs when they get a seat in there, man. They have been known to do it. So, you never know. The AFC is wide open right now. The only 2 teams I really don't see going any further are Jacksonville and Pittsburgh in the AFC. I just don't see them going any further. Once they get in, that's pretty much it. As far as the NFC side, it's going to be the Giants for me. And and possibly us if we're playing the Cowboys first round. I don't see us going any further than the Cowboys. So that's how I feel. That's how I see it right now, realistically. Now, if you want me to be like super optimistic, oh yeah, we'll beat the Cowboys. Oh, we'll go to the Super Bowl. Yeah, 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 yeah. But I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that to you guys. Because that's not what this channel is. I've been trying to tell y'all we've been real since the beginning. Always. We tell y'all the truth. And I'm always going to tell y'all how I really think. You know, I'm not going to feed you a bunch of fluff. I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel. That I think is going to happen. And if I get it wrong, I get it wrong. You know, it happens. I'm human. You know, I'm not perfect. And it's been a weird year in the NFL. It really has. So, a lot can happen. I'm not going to lie to you. A lot can happen. Especially tomorrow. You never know. That's why I have that glimmer of hope. But I doubt it's going to work. I doubt it's going to be enough. But whatever we do, it's going to impact this playoff picture. Whatever happens in this Lions game. And, you know, whichever team wins this thing has full, you know, has the full power to get into the playoffs. Without a doubt. So, we either give them that power or we take it ourselves. Which one is it going to be? Python Knight says, I personally believe the Lions have a chance to beat everyone in the NFC. It'd be really hard to play the 49ers and the Eagles, though. I'm not buying into the Eagles. Eagles will be done. Eagles will be done. No. As soon as they play the Cowboys and play some quality opponents, they're going to get exposed. No. The fact that they're sitting up there with a first round bye just gives them so much ammunition to just cruise on through the first two rounds. Once they finally play like either the Niners, Dallas, Lions, or us, they're done. They're done. That's it. You know? End of conversation for the Eagles. They're not going to the Super Bowl. I'm sorry. It's not happening. This is not the same Eagles team everybody thinks it is. I'm gonna maintain that. I'm gonna double down on that. I'm not gonna, you know, I don't bet on stuff, but I'm not, you know, I'm gonna double down on that. And anybody that wants to say the Eagles are this or that or this or that, you know, come on in here. Come on in here. I want to talk to you. You know, because you're about to be proven wrong after that Dallas game. You really are. And if I end up eating crow, I end up eating crow. That it is what it is. You know, point being, I feel very, very strongly the Eagles are not going to make it. They're just not going to make it past these bottom four teams. They're just not. They're not. If they play any of these four, it's done. It's over. So everybody else is buying into the Eagles, and I don't understand it. But okay, y'all do what you do. You know, I'm going to show you on that scoreboard how wrong you are. But no idea his ribs are a mess. Talking about Mike White, yeah. If you were to say, no, it's not Mike White, it's Zach White, isn't it? It's Zach White. If you were to say that Mr. White is the future for the Jets, then what? For the Jets, you know, then what? Do they continue their winning ways? Do they build around him? What do they do? And that's a question I've got, for Jets fans out there. If you're listening, you know, what do you continue to do after that? So, if assuming you could keep Mr. White healthy, for a certain amount of time, you know, do you really believe he's the guy going forward if you're a Jets fan? I don't know. I don't know. You know, nothing's set in stone up in New York yet. So, Chargers versus the Bills. Yep. Yeah, I do believe that will happen. It's either going to be the Chargers versus the Bills or Chargers versus the Ravens. And like I say, the Ravens have been known to make a lot of noise in the playoffs once they get in. It's a known fact. It's a known fact for a number of years. They may not have a full deck of cards in Baltimore right now, but they could still make some noise. They could still take somebody by surprise. If the Bills feel like they've got an easy win here in the playoffs versus them, nope, try again. Try again. Because I'm telling you, this time of year when Baltimore gets into that playoff run mode, you're in for it. You are in for a game. They will bring everything in the kitchen sink to try to win. That's just who they are. That's their identity. And it's a doggone good identity if you're Baltimore. So, I mean, keep that in mind. So Steve Smith, if you're watching, man, you should be proud of that right there. Because you helped create that identity. You were a strong part of that. It didn't start with you, but you continued that identity in Baltimore, and you should be very, very proud of that. And enjoy that right there. That credibility that comes with that. Why do you think the Cowboys will beat the Eagles? Eagles already beat them once this year. That was because the Cowboys did not have Dak Prescott. Two, the Cowboys have evolved since then. They've adjusted. This is not the same Cowboys team you saw before. And the third reason is the Eagles' soft schedule. I've went over this before, but I'll do it again for you. If you look at the Eagles' schedule and who they've beaten, hold on. I want you to tell me who you're impressed with that they've actually beaten this year. Let's just take a gander, shall we? I'll run through it once more. Alright, so the Lions. This is week 1. We thought this was the same Lions team, that didn't really have much going for them on defense at all. But offensively, yeah, they put up 35 points. So what the Eagles basically did is they just outscored them. That's all they did. In week 1, anybody can do that against the Lions. because that defense was horrible. 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 Guys. Horrible. Dude, we could have shredded that defense. even with our lackluster offense right now. You know, Mariota would have had a field day with that defense. So, we move on to the Vikings game here, 24-7. Vikings were trash back then. Nobody really expected the Vikings to really do much at that point. That was before they got on their run. Okay? Washington. Washington was terrible at the beginning of the year. They didn't have much going for them offensively. I mean, Heineke was playing awful. It just seemed Washington was out of sorts during that time. That was before they went on their run, obviously. Jags, of course. Who's impressed by a win over the Jags at this point? Really? The Cards. Anybody could beat the Cards at this point. Cards were barely making it 20 points a game. Barely. Cowboys. Like I said, this is a Cowboys team without Dak Prescott on it. And they were really struggling on offense. Once they got Dak back and they got the defense off the field, you know, and got time of possession back in favor of the Cowboys again, later on, you know, that's what made the difference, and that's what's making the Cowboys so dangerous again. Because we knew the Cowboys had a good defense, okay? A really, really strong defense. Top 10. You know? But that problem was always solved once Dak came back onto the field. Now, so it's not a surprise that they beat him without Dak. Steelers, we know, aren't scoring more than 20 points a game. Easy victory. And, you know, at that point, I'm like, okay, we want that smoke against Pittsburgh, man. We should have been able to beat Pittsburgh. They only scored like 13 against the Eagles. Come on. But our Lions didn't show up. You know, if our Lions had actually shown up during that Pittsburgh game on both sides and playing like they typically did, you know, and didn't get dominated, we would have won. You know, that's not an impressive win to me. I'm sorry. Yeah, the offense looked good, but again, you know, Pittsburgh's defense is definitely fallible. It is. You can find multiple areas where you could take advantage of it. We even found half of those last week. At least more than half last week. But we weren't prepared. See, that's the thing. Our lines were not ready to go. They were not. Let's move on to the Texans. Texans, are you impressed by that? Come on. No. This is where Washington started to get hot. You see that 32-21 win. That was when Taylor started to really play well. And credit to him. Washington earned that win. They earned it. They played well. And that's what happens when the Eagles play somebody that's actually competitive. Right there. On their schedule. And you look at the Colts the next week. Barely beating the Colts. Barely squeezing by. Not impressive. Rodgers is struggling in Green Bay. Easy victory. Even though Rodgers did put up a pretty good fight of 33 points, it's still not enough. Okay, so we move on to the Titans. Who's scared of the Titans? Come on. Plus, we know Green Bay's defense is weak too. They've found some weaknesses in that secondary. So it's not a surprise. Giants. I mean, who's impressed by a win over the Giants? 48-22. Weak. A win over the Bears. Barely squeaking by the Bears. 25-20. I mean, this is a joke. This is a joke of a schedule. Who was really impressed by this schedule? Tell me. Tell me one game that you're actually impressed with. I'm not. I'm not buying the Eagles. I'm just not. I'm not buying this record. In a normal year, I still wouldn't buy it. You know? This is. Come on, guys. The Saints don't score more than 20 points. That's not an impressive win right there. That's another one for them. Giants, again. I mean, at this point, the Giants won't have anything to play for, so why bother? That's another win for the Eagles. You know, so that's two more wins, making them 15-1, barring this Cowboys game, which will make them 15-2 to finish up the year. 15-2. And I gotta say, yawn. That's how I feel about that. Honestly. Just even looking at this Eagles schedule just puts me to sleep. It's hard to imagine the Lions have faced in total of 10 playoff caliber teams. Yeah, man. The Lions are legit. Legit. Definitely legit team. And if you look at the Lions in comparison, I want y'all to look at this schedule in comparison. This 7-7 record is legitimate. Okay, so they lost the Eagles. They had a terrible defense to start with. And it's evidenced, early on in the season here. Until they started figuring it out around the Packers game. And honestly, they still struggled against the Bears, but they finally got it under control after that point. It's still not beautiful to look at, but if you look at some of the teams they've played against so far, yes, they did take an L against the Vikings, the Seahawks, Patriots, Cowboys, Bills, Jaguars are a contender right now. We're a contender right now. And, yeah. I mean, y'all did lose to the Cowboys when they didn't have Dak. So I will point that out. I've got to point that out. However, a 15-9 win over the Green Bay Packers. So you're telling me Rodgers didn't get more than 10 points in that game? You're going to tell me against that Detroit awful defense that they didn't get more than 10 points? Wow. That just shows you how badly Rodgers is struggling this year. That just goes to show you. Man. But yeah, y'all did get it under control at a certain point there. And I think that defense is what's going to cost you the chance at the NFC Championship. Point blank. Yeah, the Lions versus the Cowboys was when Prescott returned and we had them beat until the fourth quarter. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. That's a good point. That's a good point. You're right. Um, and Dak just started turning it on. That's realistically what happened. They took over the time of possession. They got the defense off the field, and that's how they beat you. You know, he just needed time to get back in the saddle. Get it? Back in the saddle. That's a good one. um, but yeah, these are legitimate teams that they've beaten or dealt with this year. So the Lions are for real. And whew, mm, so who we need to pay attention to, Panthers fans, is the Browns and Saints game and the Bucks and Cards game. Those are the two we need to watch. Don't worry about anything else. Because I got a feeling the Ravens are going to beat the Falcons, so I'm not even worried about that one. But we do need all three of these games to go our direction in order to help us out. So imagine, if you will, the Ravens beat the Falcons, the Saints lose, the Buccaneers lose. Then this game down here in week 18 does not matter. So if we get the trifecta here in week 16, this is the critical week. If we get the trifecta, even if we lose to the Lions, we're still in. Guys, it won't matter. We just have to beat the Bucks in week 17. Easy peasy. We can do that. Guys, we can do that. Come on. If you guys think we can't do that, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. I don't know where your mind is. If you don't think we can't beat the Bucks, I don't know where your mind is. Because honestly, the Bucks are not scoring more than 20. We could beat that. Sam could beat that, dude. Sam's got that game in the bag. Sam's got that game in the bag, y'all. Tom is struggling. If you've been watching Tom on his drives, and you could just refer back to that Monday night game. He looked horrible against the Saints. Horrible. And it was only until that last drive that he actually won. But, you know, Tom has looked awful. Legit awful. And he has been so frustrated as of lately. Buccaneers. There they are. My brain's on overdrive right now. Sugar rush, you know. Since it's 4 in the morning. But you know, if you look at Tom Brady, look at the schedule. Look at what Tom has actually done. Like, are you impressed by any of these? Come on. He beat a Dak Prescott less Cowboys team. He beat the Saints 20-10. Lost to the Packers and Aaron Rodgers 14-12, even as bad as Rodgers has been this year. Got absolutely destroyed by the Chiefs, even though they managed to put 31 up on the Chiefs defense, which, I mean, that was Tom Brady being Tom Brady when he finally figured out that Chiefs defense. The Falcons 21-15, not getting, just barely going past 20 points. Just barely. Took a loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers 20-18. So, keep in mind, we're not the only NFC South team that has lost to the Steelers now. We're not the only one. Buccaneers did too. And guess what? Tom Brady did not break 20 points. We beat the Buccaneers 21-3 last time we played them. We actually scored 21 points against that supposed top 10 Buccaneers defense. And that was when we were screwing around. That was when we were trying to find our identity. Under Wilkes. That was directly after that Rams game. We knew pretty much that we were not going to do much in that Rams game. We could put up a fight, but I don't know. It was an observation game. Then we roll back into Charlotte, play the Buccaneers, and win 21-3. Alright, so this Buccaneers team continues on with a loss to the Ravens, barely scoring over 20 again. Ravens are a playoff contender. Rams beat them. They actually beat the Rams 16-13. This is the start of the Rams slide right here, realistically, because they were really sliding. This was probably middle Rams slide. And then Buccaneers can't score more than 20 against the Seahawks. Just barely 21-16. And not impressive. We beat the Seahawks too. Or did we? Or did we? No, we didn't. Come on. So, but of course we did. We beat the Seahawks 30-24, thereby scoring more than 20 points. Ba-boom. Yet the Buccaneers barely beat them 21-16. Oh, wait. But there's more. Tom Brady struggles against the Browns. Couldn't score more than 20. Browns beat him. This was the return of Deshaun Watson, I believe. If I'm not mistaken. One of these games in here was the return of Deshaun Watson for the Browns. One of those few weeks. Saints. They barely beat the Saints 17-16 in a horrendous Monday night game. God, with the one I mentioned earlier. 17-16 in a last minute drive. Were you impressed by that? Nah. Come on. Let's be real. No. You thought for a minute that was Tom Brady's magic coming back. And then they get absolutely destroyed by the Niners. That's what happens when they face a real team. That's what happens when they face a real playoff team this year. The Niners are a real playoff team. They're a real threat this year. 35-7. Not even close. They play the Bengals the next week. Bengals are a legitimate playoff threat. 34-23. Barely getting over 20 again. I mean, this has been Tom's MO this year. He cannot get over 20 points. So if we get over 20 points, we win. Realistically, if we get 24 points, it's a dub. It's a dub. 24 points. That's the minimum goal. We get past that, we win. We win. I'm not even worried about the Bucs. The Saints are equally unimpressive. You know, they're struggling to get past 20 as well. If you can't even get more points than Tom Brady this year, hang up your hat. Seriously, just hang up your hat and your cleats. You're done. You know, Falcons beat them first week. They couldn't get more than 20 in that second week against the Buccaneers. Therefore, they lost. We beat them. They couldn't get more than 14 against our tough defense. Therefore, we beat them. They couldn't get past 25 points against the Vikings. They would take the L there. And the Seahawks, they did beat the Seahawks 39-32. I give them credit for that one. They played a tough game against the Bengals. I give them credit for that. They played a shoot 'em out game against the Cards and came up short. I give them credit for that one too. But then they finally get that win over the Raiders, a lowly Raiders team. But they only put up 24. So the offense started to go downhill again. They lost to the Raiders. The Ravens the very next week. Ravens are a playoff contender. They lost to the Steelers. Guess what? That is 3 NFC South teams that the Steelers have beaten this year. 3. There's us, Tampa, and the Saints now. I want to find out if they've actually gotten the quadruple. We're going to check that Falcons schedule in just a second to see if they got the quadruple. I'm curious. Then you got a surprising win over the Rams. Yeah, 27-20. Not bad. Not bad. But then against the 49ers, that defense of theirs showed up. And it showed up in a big way. They held them down to 13 points. So I'm starting to think that Saints defense is for real now. Until that Buccaneers game where they held Tom to 17, which everybody's been holding Tom to 17, realistically. So, not impressive. And a very weak win over the Falcons. Not impressed. You know, not really. We beat the Falcons already on a rainy Thursday night. So, you know, if we can beat the Falcons with our game management type offense, of course the Saints can. Come on. Barely getting over 20 points. So the Browns team, who's been struggling, they should get the win there. We'll see what happens. But it's in Cleveland. So guess what? Cleveland's crazy weather up there is going to play a factor. And the Saints aren't ready for that. I'm telling you right now, the Saints are not ready for that weather. They're not ready to handle what Cleveland is about to bring at them. The Eagles are going to beat them as well, and we're going to beat them as well. I mean, that's you might be able to salvage the Browns game if you're a Saints fan. You might. And that's a very slim might. I don't know. I say the Saints are out. I honestly do believe the Saints are out of the race. That's just my take on it. Maybe I'm wrong, but we'll find out. I just don't see them staying in it. Even even with the Eagles' offense being the way it is, that Eagles' offense should outscore the Saints. It should. So, even with that weak schedule, the Eagles should win that one. The Eagles are what they are. They're middle of the road contenders. This should not be on top of the NFC at all with a decent schedule. Instead of a soft schedule, they would be in the middle of the pack. Let's be real, guys. Come on. So now I want to check this Falcons. Did they play the Steelers? ESPN's already predicting like 79% win percentage for the Ravens. Wow. The Steelers beat all 4 teams in the NFC South. You're joking. Good Lord, the NFC South is a joke this year. The Steelers beat all 4 of us. We should have at least gotten our win over them. Come on. For goodness sakes. What a joke. Guys, what a joke. I can't even believe I'm seeing this. Since when has a Steelers team beaten all 4 NFC South opponents? When has that ever happened in NFL history? To anyone's knowledge. That is crazy. Anyway. Bottom line, we need depth. We need these lines to step up and win the battle in the trenches. Bottom line. If we want any shot against the Lions. That's number 1 step we got to take. Number 2, CJ's got to play well. That's 2 key points in this game. Number 3, I'm going to need Sam Darnold to ball out. Alright? I'm going to need Sam Darnold to ball out. If you're going to start this, man, ball out. Number 4, we need a strong rushing game. Strong rushing game, guys. That means Foreman's got to be on his A game this week. He's got to come out firing. Alright? Number 5, we have got to minimize our mistakes as much as possible. Penalties wise, we got to clean those up. Anything technical that they can use against us, they're going to use it on offense. They will find a way to do it. And finally, 6, protect the ball. I want to say that again. Protect the ball. Because I'm sure that at least one or two of these guys in this Lions defense can and will cause turnovers. So we're going to take a look at a couple of these guys. Jerry Jacobs, Jeff Okudah. We do have one interception, one sack for this year. Okudah. One interception, one forced fumble. There it is. That's what I'm looking for. Look, keep an eye open for Okudah. He's already got one forced fumble. And he's got 2 pass deflections against the Jets, by the way. 2 against the Bears. Realistically, what he does best is tackling. Alright, so we learned about him. Getting back to Jerry Jacobs. 5'11", 203. He's had a pass deflection in every game. 2 against the Jets. And a pick against the Jets. Thereby, he is very, very good at pass deflection. So we need to keep an eye open for him. Jerry Jacobs is going to be a threat as far as pass deflections. Now, linebacker, let's learn about Alex. 6'3", 237 from Florida. 43 solo tackles, 1.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception. Watch out for him. We got pass deflection every once in a while, but I think he's due. So keep your eyes peeled. He's got 15 total for his career. 6.5 sacks for his career. He's been averaging about 1.5, probably. Got 168 solo tackles out of 306. 4 forced fumbles. He had 3 forced fumbles back in 2018, but he's not really famous for doing that. But he does have an interception in 3 different years. He was a 3rd round pick. Alright. Malcolm Rodriguez. 5'11", 1 sack, 1 forced fumble. But that forced fumble happened in week 4. No pass deflections, none of that. I say we take advantage of Malcolm Rodriguez. 6'5", John Kaminsky. 285, Charleston. That wouldn't happen to be Charleston, South Carolina, would it? Or is there a different Charleston? I don't know. 12 solo tackles, 3 sacks. A few pass deflections. Nothing too exciting about this guy, to be honest. McNeil, 6'2", 325. Defensive lineman. Probably a defensive tackle. 10 solo tackles, 1 sack. No takeaways. Okay, so nothing too spectacular about him. Let's see, Bugs. 6'3", 295. From Alabama. 14 solo tackles, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble. Okay, so he had 2 pass deflections. That's it for this guy. Doesn't seem like much. And finally, before we get to the safeties, Adrian Hutchinson. Now, Adrian Hutchinson is dangerous. This dude has 2 interceptions already. He's 6'7", 264 from Michigan, and he's a rookie. 23 solo tackles, 7 sacks. So, oh boy. This is the guy we got to watch out for. He got 3 sacks on the Washington Commanders, 1.5 sacks on the Cowboys, 1 against the Bears, half a sack against the Jags, and a sack against the Vikings. But those 3 against Washington stand out. So keep an eye on him. Safety. Kirby Joseph, 6'1", 203, 36 solo tackles, 2 forced fumbles, 3 picks. And a partridge on a pear tree. Basically, this guy is very, very dangerous. You got 3 pass deflections against the Packers. That's off of Rodgers, by the way. That's not the easy thing to do. Normally. You got a pass deflection against the Cowboys in week 7. Just something to keep in mind. And finally, Deshaun Elliott. 6'1", 210 from Texas, 5 years in the league, 62 solo tackles, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception. You had 3 pass deflections so far. So, and one of those pass deflections was off of Mac Jones, which I believe turned into a pick, if I'm not mistaken, a tip ball up in the air. I could be wrong. But 10 pass deflections on his career. 3.5 sacks. 135 solo tackles out of 200. That's what I want people to pay attention to right there. These 2 numbers right here and right here. This dude will wrap people up. He does not give up yards after the catch. Plus the 2 picks down here, too. There's 1 per game. Alright, so that is your Detroit Lions defense. Obviously, if you look up the offensive numbers, I mean, Chark and St. Brown pretty much speak for themselves as far as the numbers at wide receiver. You know, you can just trust me on that one, and look it up yourself if you wish. You know, just Google those, and you know, they're pretty nasty numbers. This O-line, I believe, is one of the better O-lines out there, in my opinion. But, I mean, we'll see how it holds up to Brian Burns. It hasn't met Brian Burns yet. So, we'll find out. But overall, man, it's a very dangerous Cowboys team. And we got to be careful. That being said, I think I have covered everything I can cover. Does anybody have any players or anything that they would like to put in chat that they would like to talk about? Now would be the time to do that. I've got a few minutes, but I've got to get some sleep. Big day tomorrow with the Panthers game. So, Ugh. That being said, any players that you guys want to talk about? Come on, throw them in chat. I got a few minutes. I'll give you guys a couple of minutes. Well, I queue up music here so that we can get the heck out of here. Um, as far as preparing for mock drafts and stuff like that, we'll start doing that after the regular season is over. So we'll start looking into that then. But I've got to do a lot of research on some players though. And there's going to be a lot of moves that are going to start being made within that first week of the season being over. Uh, Depending on if we make the playoffs or not. So I have to keep my eyes peeled to whatever goes on. You know how it goes, man. You know. Um, it's Christmas time, man. It's Christmas time. Y'all go be with your families, man. It's Christmas Eve. I don't know what y'all doing on these streams with me. Y'all go be with your family, man. Have a great and blessed Christmas Eve. I hope it's a wonderful one. I hope you guys stay safe, happy, and healthy. And take care of yourselves and your families. You know? And take care of the people that really, really need it out there, man. The homeless, the lost, the heartbroken, the people that are grieving, you know. Be with these people, man. Go help them. Just be good human beings towards each other, you know. Like I said, man, every time you put on a piece of Panthers gear, you're representing who we are as Panthers, as a family. And you're representing yourself as a human being, you know? So, go out there. Go help some people, man. Go do some food drives, whatever you got to do, man. Go help these folks, man. It's wintertime. These people are struggling. And you got to let them know that they're not alone. You got to let them know that they're loved out there, man. And this goes beyond football, guys. Go help some people, man. It only takes a little time out of your day, during this crazy winter weather. Go out there and see what you can do. Once this -20 wind chill gets over with, maybe you can help some people. But get them some blankets, whatever you got to do. But Christmas time is not a cheerful time for everybody. You know what I mean? It can really suck for some people. So I encourage people to come out there, go out there and help wherever you can. If you got some extra Christmas money that you get from Christmas, go out and help somebody with it. For real. Whatever you can do. Whether it be just spending time with somebody or talking to them. Whatever that looks like in the form of helping somebody. This is the time of year. Especially this time of year. Alright, guys, so be with your families, take care of each other, hug them a little tighter for us, man. You know, for yourselves and for each other. We're not guaranteed another day on this earth, you know, and you know, some people don't have these family members anymore. You know, so go take care of each other. And let's try our best on this Lions game, guys. Let's do our best. Let's put our best foot forward and put everything that we can into this Lions game. And let's see if we can win it. There's always more to give in Carolina. Always. Always, guys. Alright, guys. As always, I got one last thing to say. And you all already know what that is. If we win this Lions game, to the victor goes the spoils. To the victor goes the spoils. And as always, keep pounding. Peace, y'all. Shout out to everybody that's been involved with the stream today. From Pots on Night to Lock Poppy to the Real Zero Chill. Panthers by 20. Keep pounding. Let's go. Shout out to Kenny Medford and to everybody that has stopped by. That has become a new member or a new follower or a new sub. Thank you guys so much. Love all of you. Share the stream with your friends. We're trying to get to 500 again. Let's go. Keep pounding. Peace, y'all. I'm out.
YouTube TV has no hidden fees and includes unlimited deep.